Milwaukee.
At 9:03, it's 67 degrees. The last remnants of morning rain have just moved out of southeast Wisconsin, and we're on our way to a hot high of 91 today, down to 67 tonight. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Adam Roberts. Southeast Wisconsin continuing to dry out this morning after several severe thunderstorm rounds passed through late overnight. Storm Team 4 meteorologist Brendan Johnson tells Wisconsin's Morning News a calmer period rain-wise is now on tap, though again it will be hot today.
We are really running well above average. I mean, so far, we've picked up 2.7 inches of rain so far this month. It seems like a month has happened in a week. We're gonna breathe for a little bit, but hot and humid today. Highs are back up towards about 90 degrees, and then Wednesday and Thursday looking dry, too.
In addition to the heat and humidity, flooding concerns will linger through the day. A flood warning is currently in effect for the Lower Fox River in Waukesha. Your complete WTMJ 5-day forecast coming up after the news. Overnight, a church in Jefferson County going up in flames. Neighbors near St. John the Baptist Church in Jefferson saying they heard a loud boom around 9 p.m. that could be felt throughout the town. Still no official cause on that fire. Meanwhile, developing story in Waukesha, a condo fire this morning on Gabrielle Drive is being blamed for a lightning strike. Residents claim fire was caused by lightning around 6:15 this morning. While the exact cause is still being investigated, initial reports match the findings of the fire investigation team. A new advisory from the U.S. Surgeon General concerning gun violence.
I'm Peter King. Dr. Vivek Murthy says this public health crisis
requires a public health solution.
He tells CBS Mornings 6 in 10 Americans are worried about gun violence, with half of all children scared about shootings at their schools.
Gun violence has now become the leading cause of death among kids and teens.
Murthy says automatic rifles should be banned, while universal background checks should be the rule. And he calls for penalties for people who don't store their weapons safely, none of which can happen nationally without congressional approval. Peter King, CBS News.
Time for news about your money, the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. At this hour, the Dow is down 154 points to 39,275, while the S&P 500, modest gains so far, up 11 points to 5,459, and the NASDAQ doing well as well, up 127 points to 17,624. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite, financial planning at every level. Details at annexwealth.com. A good start for the Brewers against the defending champs. We'll have that plus the roads in your 5-day forecast up next. Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time 9:05.
WTMJ's Eric Bilstead here. We've made it to that wonderful time in Wisconsin when everyone likes to be outside. The gardening, the golfing, the swimming, but not you, because your knee hurts. Or your hips are bothering you, and you don't want to do anything that could mean needing surgery. Hey, I get it. But here's the thing. You don't need surgery to feel better. That's where QC Kinetics comes in. Non-surgical joint pain relief is a thing. It's here. It's happening at QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative medicine. Lasting joint relief with no surgery, no drugs. And get this, no downtime. Stop putting it off. Take action now and live your best life again. Get outside this summer. Call QC Kinetics. Here's the number, 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. Call QC Kinetics today and live your best life again.
Who's ready to save a bucket load at Fleet Farm? Just buy one of our signature 5-gallon buckets for $3.99 and get 15% off anything that fits inside it. Save on Daiwa, Daredevil, and Trilene, DeWalt, and Milwaukee hand tools. Save on snacks, grilling gear, and more. Any qualifying products that fit in the bucket are 15% off now through June 26th. Our bucket sale is just another great way to save on everything you need for everyday life at Fleet Farm. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Here's to sweet summer days together with friends and family in Wisconsin. To discovering magic in every moment.
Hey, Mom, over here.
And to reconnecting through a world filled with wonder.
Wow.
Here's to supper club celebrations and dancing until the sun goes down. Here's to those who Wisconsin. Plan your summer getaway at travelwisconsin.com.
Time Time for a WTMJ sports update from the Gruber Law Office's One Call, That's All Sports Desk.
Adamas aboard at first. This one hit in the air. Left and deep. Get up. Get out of here. Go.
Uke on the call as Rhys Hoskins hits a deciding grand slam for the Brewers. They beat the Rangers Monday 6-3. That series continues against Texas this evening at American Family Field. Our coverage begins at 6 with Brewers warm-up on WTMJ. And the Florida Panthers are your 2024 Stanley Cup champions, defeating Edmonton 2-1 in the decisive Game 7 on Monday night. Let's look at the roads. Your WTMJ Johnson & Sons paving time saver traffic. Our one trouble spot right now remains on 43 South. It's right near Hampton. We got a crash that has involving two semi-trucks. Looks like one of them has been moved out of the way. Still working on one right now on the right shoulder. And we've got backups from Capitol Drive through that construction zone all the way up to Silver Spring. Also will be a bit slow the other direction from Center Street to about Capitol on 43 North. The rest of the system panning out pretty nicely. No major incidents or delays.
Traffic is sponsored by Hall Mazda Milwaukee. Visit hallmazdamilwaukee.com.
If you see something we should know about, call the WTMJ Hall Mazda Traffic Tip Line, 414-238-9329. Find out with Hall Mazda all summer.
Your WTMJ 5-day forecast: that rain has officially moved out of the area. Sunny, hot, and humid then expected for this afternoon. A high of 91 today. Will be breezy as well. Mostly cloudy down to 67 tonight. Partly cloudy with spotty showers possible Wednesday. A bit cooler, a high around 80. Morning fog possible Thursday, then sunny and 74. Next rain chance, though a slight one, comes on Friday, a high of 78. Early rain possible Saturday, then partly cloudy and 84. Right now in Madison, mostly cloudy 79, 71 in Green Bay, 67 in clouds in Waukesha, and in downtown Milwaukee, we've got cloudy skies and 68 degrees. I'm Adam Roberts, citing Unlimited WTMJ News Times 910.
Good morning, Wisconsin. So let's pour that coffee and talk to some experts about what's going on in Milwaukee, Madison, Washington, and beyond. Broadcasting live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue in beautiful downtown Milwaukee. It's the Political Power Hour on WTMJ. Here's your host, Steve Scaffidi.
Should we talk about the government?
As I always say, the answer is yes to that question. All right, Christian Snyder joining us. He is a terrific writer on politics and culture and everything else, columnist at National Review Online. He is also an author, 1916 The Blog, Anti-Knowledge. He's an incredible chronicler, is that how you say that word, of the great show, Saturday Night Live. His amazing work watching each and every episode that wasn't that special podcast, 50 Years of SNL. You can find it on social media. Christian Snyder joins us. And my first question for you, Christian Snyder, besides the good morning greeting is it Joe Biden or Joe Liden?
Yeah. So a couple weeks ago, I wrote a piece about this, so after Hunter Biden was found guilty of gun charges, Joe Biden, put out a statement that says, well, I worked as a professor at Penn and taught constitutional law and all this stuff. It's like, oh, wait a minute. He was a professor at Penn, but he very famously did not teach a single class.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started looking at the lies that he tells are really weird. Obviously Donald Trump lies probably more than any human being alive, but there's actually seemingly a reason for his lies, like
political reasons.
When he lies about his crowd size, he's making himself look better, or if he lies about, what happened with he and Stormy Daniels, he's trying to wriggle out of legal peril and all that. But Joe Biden's lies are just strange. They don't make him look better. They just make him look weird.
What's the why of this then? Why in the world is he doing it?
I don't know. I think he thinks it just makes him look more like an interesting person. Like there's always that person at the party who has to one up everybody else and, and try to make themselves look more fascinating than they are.
Interesting you mentioned that, because there was, what was the Saturday Night Live? It was a Kristen Wiig that used to do that character where she'd like one up the other person at the party. Yes.
yes. Right. A good tie in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the weirdest one was a couple months ago where he's telling this story, and he just pulled out the story about how his uncle Ambrose flew a fighter. He was a fighter pilot in World War II, and his plane crashed over New Guinea, and he was eaten by cannibals or suspected of being eaten by cannibals.
Right.
And it's like, what are there voters out there that are saying to themselves, you know, I agree with this guy on taxes and regulation, but what I really want is a guy who has had a relative eaten by cannibals. Like, how does that get him any votes or, draw any sympathy? It's just bizarre.
So is that the origin story of why Donald Trump talks about Hannibal Lecter? Is that there's some connection there? How's that work?
Right. If everybody has to talk, it's a rule. Everybody has to talk about cannibals.
They're fighting for the cannibal or the anti-cannibal votes. So I mean, the interesting thing about Joe Biden is everybody wants to talk about his age. He's 81. Obviously, Trump is a few years younger than that. Is that what this is, or is it just somebody who's done something for so long? He's been in politics for 4 or 5 decades. Maybe all the stories sort of merged together from so many campaign speeches and talks in Congress. Maybe it all kind of merges into a sort of a fairy tale. Sort of this is what I kind of remember about the past.
Yeah, I think it's probably some part of the fact that he's old and maybe can't remember stories, but he's been doing this his whole career. You remember, back in the 80s when he was running for president and, was caught in a plagiarism scandal from, back in law school. That's something that basically claiming that you'd written something that you didn't, which is a lie. He's always said he finished in the top half of his law school class. Of course, he never did. He told a story about how his kitchen caught on fire with his wife inside and almost killed her when it was like reporting at the time was that it was just like a tiny kitchen fire. So he's done this his whole career and he's gotten away with it. So I figure why, if you're 81 years old, why stop now? I mean,
I think the interesting thing for me is I tweet out once a week that political lying is still lying, and I do it just because I know it rankles some people, because everybody in politics, they stretch the truth, and maybe that's what this is, maybe it isn't. But is there a danger, real danger, to politicians, elected officials who basically confuse the political lies with the regular lies with any lie they then pronounce to the American public? There's a danger there, right?
Well, it's especially dangerous now because people can essentially just create their own reality. I mean, when Donald Trump says something and it's a total lie, he'll have half the internet backing him up because, online you can choose to go to whatever sites you want. You can choose to follow whoever you want on social media. So you can basically live in your own bubble where you never hear anything that contradicts what you believe. In the past, there was at least it was filtered through the media and through reporters. And granted, the media is biased, and maybe it's better that you have people now that are able to say things that they couldn't in the past. But for the most part, you had somebody responsible filtering and fact-checking a lot of this stuff at the time. You don't anymore.
He is Christian Snyder, author and columnist. We'll continue the conversation. It is 9:16 right here on WTMJ.
WTMJ's John Mercure here. Join me as we count down to the RNC in Milwaukee. We'll talk to the biggest names across the political landscape.
The idea of having the convention here is to advertise the city of Milwaukee. And it's not good advertising for the city of Milwaukee if they're throwing Molotov cocktails and overturning cop cars.
Full podcast available on WTMJ.com or text RNC to the Old National Bank talk and text line and get a link sent directly to you.
Decision Wisconsin 2024 coverage is presented by Pasternak and Zerga Bell.
Hey, it's WTMJ Steve Scaffidi. For Universal Windows Direct, spring is here. Summer is here. And it's only going to get hotter from here on out. It's going to be warm today. Don't cool off the outside of your house. Call my guys at Universal Windows Direct. Super spatial technology. I've told you about it. Keeps the edge of the glass warmer, holds the window seal longer, makes the windows last up to 5 times longer than other window systems. It just performs better. True lifetime warranty. Also, a 20-year warranty if you sell your home to the next homeowner. Call them today. Universal Windows Direct, 414-410-2000. 414-410-2000. Every 2 windows you buy, 2 free for 2020. Get it? No limit. Plus, if you need it, 0% financing for 60 months. All the great reasons: consistent temperature in your home, increased energy efficiency, reduced heating and cooling costs, plus a quieter and more comfortable home. Call 414-410-2000. All the reasons. Here's the good one. It's easy, and they know what they're doing, and the technology makes them the best. Universal Windows Direct. All the windows you'll ever need. If you ask them, or if you tell them, rather, that I told you to call, $250 off your next project. Go to uwd.com. Like me, you'll be saying, I love my windows.
Hi, folks. Cindy Storm Fisher and Julie Coombs here at Storm Fisher Investment Group. Are you happy with how your investments are growing? We've been helping people just like you for over 40 years, and we'd be happy to help you.
We have no agenda, no quotas to meet, and great relationships are our business. If you're looking for an advisory relationship like you've never had before, call us. Let's see if it's a great fit. Storm Fisher Investment Group, online at stormfisher.com.
See you soon.
Securities offered through Osaic Wealth Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Arbor Point Advisors LLC, APA. Osaic Wealth and APA are separately owned, and other entities and/or marketing names, products, or services referenced here are independent of Osaic Wealth and APA.
I'll continue our conversation on this Tuesday edition of the Political Power Hour on WTMJ. Author and columnist, all-around great guy, Christian Snyder, joining us. All right. You've been very prolific with your writing as of late. National Review Online is where folks can find it. Interesting one titled, "We Can No Longer Have Nice Things." Explain, Christian Snyder.
Ago in New York City, they put up this new public sculpture, which is actually a video screen, and they called it a portal to Ireland, where we could see onto a street that's things that are going on in Ireland, and the Irish people could see into New York. And of course, anybody who's been around a city street knows immediately what happened. You had people starting to flash their breasts to people in or as they call them, homegrown American potatoes.
Yes, of course they do.
Ireland.
Of course they do that.
Yeah, and then the Irish people started putting up pictures of 9/11 and blah blah blah. Anyway, it was supposed to last forever. They shut it down after 6 days, and it's up now again with some changes. Now they have to have security by it. But anyway, so my point was, like, we can't have nice things anymore because you have influencers and people who just want to wreck things. So the rest of us, law-abiding people, don't get to enjoy things like this. I mean, you remember all the restaurants set up during the pandemic where you could order food on your phone and then just walk into the restaurant, grab your food, and go. Well, a lot of restaurants, there's one by my house where you can't do that, and too many people were just stealing food off the shelves. There's tons of stuff like that. Just people are ruining things for everyone else, and in a lot of cases, there's incentive to do so because you're an influencer or you need to film yourself doing something crazy, and it just wrecks it for everybody else.
Does any of this surprise you? I mean, we're a reality TV culture. We're a Kardashian culture. We're a culture where people just want to be absurd. They want to get their 15 minutes. It used to be. Now it's 60 seconds or 30 seconds on the hottest social media platform, whatever that is at that moment. None of this surprises me.
Yeah, I mean, this is why we can't. There can never be a real social media service that everybody can agree on, because as long as it's open to the public, you're going to have trolls that burrow their way in and make things miserable for everyone. I tried this new one, which is Threads, which is the one, it's essentially Twitter but set up by Mark Zuckerberg. And you make these, I'll say something about Caitlin Clark or something, and then for the next 3 days my mentions are overcome with people angry about whatever I said about Caitlin Clark. It's like, unless you want to be miserable, you should just stop posting everywhere.
I mean, you're a guy that knows social media. I was thinking about this the other day because I get trolled like nobody's business. I get, I still get messages from people that are lunatics. I mean, is the answer, like some people are doing, just to, you post but you don't ever accept comments or any direct messages? Is that the answer?
Yeah, I mean, I've written in the past where I think anonymity is really what kills social media, because if you don't know who somebody is, then they're much more likely to just troll you or say something damaging or any of that stuff. If they have to put their name behind what they're actually saying, then they'd be more likely to behave. But if you do that, then you're going to have a very small social media outlet, because people don't want to do that. They want to hide behind anonymity and kind of wreck everything for everybody. So,
all right,
that's where we are.
I want to get your thoughts. The big debate coming up Thursday night. It almost seems like Trump doesn't want to do it, and I don't think he's going to have a very warm welcome from CNN. I mean, they'll play it by the book, but I think ultimately they're going to be, I think, less than tolerant of Donald Trump's normal behavior where he just kind of goes off. I think it's going to be an interesting night. What are you expecting to see on Thursday night?
Well, these things always seem to benefit Donald Trump because he speaks faster than the fact checkers can actually, work on him. And of course, I just talked about Joe Biden, and he's going to lie a lot. But Trump is just so fast, and he'll have his supporters there. You just cannot stop and fact check everything that he's going to say. And so I think these always work to Trump's benefit. There was the one in the last cycle where he went overboard, and it was just absolutely unwatchable because the two of them were just, yelling back and forth to each other. I hope they've both learned their lesson from that. Of course, I'm always hoping Donald Trump learns a lesson about anything, and it never really happens. So I would say this probably benefits Trump. And Joe Biden is now 4 years older than the last one, where everybody kind of seemed to think he looked pretty feeble, and he's not getting younger. So it could be a mess.
He's the unknown here, right? Because we kind of know what Trump's going to be. And his handlers or whoever, or the strategist can say he's going to dial it back and talk about policy. Yeah, I'll believe that when I see it. This is about Joe Biden, seemingly looking like a normal politician where you can respond quickly to questions, you can have a thoughtful answer. And if he doesn't do it quickly and able to handle the insanity of a Donald Trump, whether it's a debate or rally, the quickness of the pace of that, I don't know that it's going to be good news for Joe Biden.
Yeah, it's funny. I've seen a lot of people saying, well, Joe Biden really needs to do well in this debate. Otherwise, he will lose ground to a convicted felon who tried to overturn an American election.
Yeah,
like Biden's performance is the important thing, not what Trump has actually done for the last 8 years. So,
all right, real quick, I know folks that love SNL. I just had a conversation with someone this morning about that here at GKB and WTMJ. How can folks find your great podcast on SNL?
It is called Wasn't That Special, and you can find it at wasn'tthatspecial.com. It's all one word, wasn'tthatspecial.com, or you can find it on Twitter X at 50 Years of SNL.
All right, we'll talk to you in a couple of weeks, my friend. Christian Snyder joining us in WTMJ. Quick break here. It's 9:26.
The Upswing with Jeff Sherman.
Where do you hope to draw students from for that camp?
Donate to Team 620 WTMJ as we compete for top donor at the Penfield Children's Center croquet match tomorrow night. Donations benefit children with developmental delays and disabilities. Come watch us take on the Truth Team. We'll kick their butts. At Asterbrook Beer Garden tomorrow night, 5 p.m. And don't forget, $100 donation. Get on my list of a lunch goer with me and maybe even Hans Weisberger. Go to www.penfieldchildren.org/Team WTMJ.
The Upswing with Jeff Sherman.
Where do you hope to draw students from for that campus?
Get to know what's going on in the community and businesses throughout Milwaukee and Wisconsin.
Part of our vision is diversity, not just racially and culturally, but also socioeconomically, creating the world for our students to explore, experience, and grow up in.
Weekdays from 10 to 11 on WTMJ. Presented by Horicon Bank, the natural choice for all your banking needs.
For the ultimate sports betting experience, get in the game at Potawatomi Sportsbook. Unleash your inner champion with dozens of betting kiosks, a VIP deck, high-end bar, first-class restaurant, broadcast booth, a 2,000-square-foot video wall, and more. It's a sports fan's paradise, 24/7. Bet above the rest. Only at Potawatomi Casino Hotel, Milwaukee. Visit the website for more. Must be 21 years old. All bets must be made on site.
There's no doubt that a better night's sleep makes for better days, and a good quality mattress helps make it happen. When you buy your new Milwaukee mattress from Ken Michaels Furniture, you are assured of a mattress made individually for you out of the finest natural materials direct from our Milwaukee factory. We make every style, size, and firmness of mattress, and with our factory direct prices, you will save hundreds of dollars. Milwaukee mattresses from Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield, Greenfield, or downtown Milwaukee. Stop in today. Stop into Ken Michaels Furniture for our sale on Braddington Young. Made in the foothills of the Great Smoky Mountains, Braddington Young is an American icon in quality leather upholstery. Whether you are looking for power recliners or stationary seating, Braddington Young's furniture is made with enduring quality, outstanding comfort, and timeless styling. Save up to 40% now on Braddington Young upholstery at Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield and Greenfield. Visit us today.
At my company, we're always looking for people who are passionate and ready to work, but it's not always easy. It's time to broaden our horizons. In Wisconsin, about 600,000 people with disabilities are ready and able to work. People that just need you to believe in them and say yes.
And once you say yes, Thinkability Wisconsin will be there, providing transition and workforce support to help shape a better future for all. It all starts when you say yes. Join the movement at thinkabilitywi.org.
Hey, don't forget everything we do. Precision Wisconsin branded. Pasternak and Zergaville, our new partners. Great law firm. I met with Frank last week. Well, these guys are tuned in, and we're going to actually have them on the program tomorrow, 9:45. So listen in. I think they're both going to join me. We'll talk some politics probably, but more importantly, we'll talk about their great company and the fact that they're partnering with this show. Now, coming up is the political writer, Milwaukee-based, Dan Schaefer. You know his work, Recombobulation Area. Not just a sign at the airport. No, there's some writing behind all of that, although I do see a lot of pictures on his social media accounts about that famous Milwaukee sign. We'll get to that, and I'm going to start with the debate question. What do you expect to see? We're going to have the latest local news and all of that. Right here on WTMJ, before we get to any of that, here is the latest from ABC News.
ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. There could be a snag in the White House plan to get rid of student loan debt. ABC's Mary Bruce says it's part of the SAVE program that ties repayment to borrowers' income.
The future of the president's student loan forgiveness plan is now in question, and millions of Americans could be impacted. Overnight, federal judges in Kansas and Missouri preventing the government from implementing key parts of the president's student loan repayment plan, which we know has become a central part of the president's re-election campaign.
More severe weather on the way for a large chunk of the Midwest. In northern Iowa, western Minnesota, and parts of South Dakota, they have been dealing with widespread flooding. Julian Assange, publisher of the state secrets on his WikiLeaks site, has reached a deal with the Justice Department, resolving the legal case over the site's publication of classified documents. Israel's Supreme Court ruling unanimously that the military must begin drafting ultra-Orthodox men for military service. They've been exempt so far. This is ABC News.
Citing Unlimited, WTMJ News Times 9:31. Charges have been filed against a 17-year-old accused of shooting and killing another teen last week in Milwaukee's Washington Park. Detectives allege Ontario Gurley Jr. fired multiple shots before running from the scene last Wednesday. Police later found him, striking him with their squad car before arresting him. Last May, Gurley Jr. was released on a $750 bail in a separate firearms offense. Multiple fires are being investigated for potential lightning strikes this morning. A condo in Waukesha catching fire around 6:15. Residents claim the building was struck by lightning. No injuries have been reported. The exact cause still being investigated, but initial reports match the findings. Meanwhile, a church steeple catching fire late Monday in the town of Jefferson. No official cause on that fire yet determined, though neighbors say they heard a loud boom right before 9 p.m. And guests to next month's Republican National Convention in Milwaukee will be welcomed with a big concert. Country music artist Trace Adkins will perform for convention delegates and partner orgs at the Red, White, and Brew Welcome Party. The event will take place at Henry Meyer Festival Park July 14th. The RNC kicks off the following day. Time for news about your money, the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. At this hour, the Dow is still down 110 points to 39,300, while the S&P 500 is up 15 to 5,463, and the Nasdaq up 154 points this morning to 17,651. Inflation isn't going away. Download your copy of Safeguarding Against Inflation, Strategies for Wealth Preservation at annexwealth.com/inflation. Checking the roads, your WTMJ Johnson & Sons paving time saver traffic. Still a smattering of incidents. Looks like they've got everything cleared up on 43 South near Hampton. From that earlier crash, we've got nice free-flowing traffic through there. One slow spot on the system right now is 94 East in Waukesha County between Highway 18 and looks like Moreland over there. Not really sure, that's Pilgrim Road, Not really sure what's causing those delays at this point. No incidents are on the board. Just adding about 4 extra minutes on your ride from Highway 16 to the zoo this morning. And your WTMJ 5-day forecast, hot and humid today as the rain moves out. 91 the forecasted high, 75 for your day on Wednesday, 72 Thursday. Next chance for some slight rain arrives on Friday, a high of 74, mid-70s, and early rain possible on Saturday. Right now in Lake Mills, sunny skies and 77. In Appleton, sun and 72. And in Milwaukee, right now we've got cloudy skies and 69 degrees. I'm Adam Roberts, citing Unlimited WTMJ News Times 9:34.
WTMJ's Julia Fellow here for Elmbrook Family Dental. I wanted to tell you the news. They not only have 2 beautiful locations in Brookfield I just went to, there's a 3rd dental office under construction right now, opening soon in Wauwatosa. Go to elmbrookfamilydental.com. Their new Wauwatosa dental office is being built right now near Research Park, and it's set to open August 1st. Go to elmbrookfamilydental.com. You don't have to wait months to get in. It's a one-stop shop for the entire family. That's elmbrookfamilydental.com.
Tune in on Sundays at 10 a.m. for the AccuNet Mortgage and Realty Show. Join AccuNet's Brian and David Wickert for the most up-to-date information on mortgage trends, along with timely news on the real estate market. The housing market is in flux, but the national headlines don't often fit local market conditions. Find out what's really happening on the front lines of real estate and mortgage financing in Wisconsin and make better decisions by tuning in every Sunday at 10 a.m. The AccuNet Mortgage and Realty Show with Brian and David Wickert on WTMJ.
The pulse of the Milwaukee Bucks, straight from a Bucks legend.
Can't get it off. Marcus Johnson will, though. You can't leave him alone for a 12.
Tap into Here District with Marcus Johnson on Bucks Plus. Marcus and his son Chris offer a weekly beat on Bucks basketball. Get your questions answered and hear from the biggest names in basketball. Find Here District with Marcus Johnson at bucks.com/plus on the Bucks app or wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm WTMJ's Sandy Max. What makes senior living at Three Pillars so special? Let's hear from Three Pillars resident Doris.
Living at Three Pillars is wonderful in many ways. If there's an activity that you like to do, it's not there, it will be arranged so that it can be put into place. A couple people wanted a bocce ball court. It was put in and people love it. There are book groups, play groups. There's a group of foodies who love to have good food and go to good restaurants. There are all kinds of activities for every kind of personality.
Schedule a tour today at threepillars.org.
All right, let's continue the political conversation. He joins me every Tuesday. He is a local writer. Writes very well about politics from a left-leaning perspective. He would acknowledge that. It is the recombobulation area, and he is that guy, as Dan Schaefer, who joins me in studio, as he always does. Hi, Dan.
Good morning, Steve. Thanks for having me, as always.
All right, sort of segue from my last conversation, I asked Christian Snyder, author and columnist, about what he expects to see this week in politics, and more specifically for him, it was the debate. But there's a lot going on this week.
Busy week in Wisconsin politics. There's never really a dull week, of course.
And there will be no dull weeks from now until whenever.
Yeah, exactly. We are in the election vortex in one of these, one of the only swing states that will decide this election now. So we're going to be an intense few months ahead of us, RNC, all of that. But we've got a very busy week. ahead in the Wisconsin political realm. Not only will we have the debate between Joe Biden and Donald Trump later this week, we've also got a Marquette poll coming tomorrow. We know how that Wisconsin-based Marquette poll, first of those in a while. That will be dropping tomorrow. As you know, I write a breakdown of every new Marquette University Law School poll at the Recombobulation area. So I'm really looking forward to see, kind of what the numbers will be for that. And I think, beyond the obvious that Wisconsin is going to be a toss-up at the top of the ticket. I think we all know that. I think it's going to be interesting to see, kind of where some of these issues have shifted. This will be the first poll since Trump's conviction. It'll be interesting to see kind of where things go. We know how much that poll can set a lot of narratives for the way we talk about issues in Wisconsin, too. So for that to be right the day before that debate, that could really shape a lot of our conversations going forward, not only about the presidential race, Senate race, but a lot of the other things are going on across the state as well.
I love the fact that he'll look at some of the issues that we hear that people are passionate about, certainly abortion, women's health. We know that inflation is one that my side of the political aisle seems to always want to talk about because they've talked about Bidenomics and used that as a weapon against the current president. Any inkling of what you think these numbers will show in those areas, even border policy?
Yeah, that's one that I think is a particularly interesting one, and you see a huge split between the parties on the issues that matter most to them, and I think the economy is the number one issue I think for both parties, but border policy is so far ahead of other issues among Republican voters, and I think abortion, healthcare, a number of other things more salient on the left among Democratic voters, and the border policy not really breaking through. I'm interested to see, too, if some of the good economic news that we've seen in the country and in the state over the past few weeks, months, will carry over to the polls here for Joe Biden. We saw that a little bit of a change in the most recent poll, but we just had news last week from the Department of Workforce Development in the state of Wisconsin that we have I think it's a record high number of people working in the state of Wisconsin. Unemployment below 3%. Those are really, really strong economic indicators. So I'm wondering if that if people's views of the economy will start to align a little bit with support for Joe Biden among independents, among moderates, among some of those swing voters that might vote for either party.
It's an interesting tug of war because politics drives people to make really declarative statements about the economy and their personal budgets and inflation and whatever issues they're passionate about. But then sometimes the numbers soften those hard edges and people are going, oh, wait a second. More people are working than ever? Oh, wait a second. Gas is, how many cents cheaper than it was a year ago? This 4-year comparison that I keep getting people throwing around. We were in a pandemic, people.
Right.
Stop using that comparison because it's not even accurate for anything.
It's not a useful data point.
We literally were wiping down our groceries for a week or two there. It was nuts in Wisconsin and the rest of the country. So stop with those comparisons. Real quick, what do you expect to see? We got to get the break here, but what do you expect to see just from a presentation aspect on Thursday night and how the candidates conduct themselves? What do you expect to see?
Yeah, I think it's going to be, kind of an unofficial starting point for a lot of people in this race. Those of us who are not, in this on a day-to-day basis, and maybe not paying that close of attention. Maybe the fact that we will have these candidates in a June debate, which is a little bizarre, before either party has its convention. What is that going to take shape here? And I think, the Republicans have gone all over the place with setting expectations for Joe Biden ridiculously low or ridiculously high. And it's going to be, they keep falling into this trap over and over of playing off Biden like some sort of, like he's incompetent, and then he will be on stage and reveal that he is, of course, not.
Incompetent and incontinent, I think, is the way that he's being depicted. Real quick, fireworks or no fireworks?
I think there will be some fireworks.
All right. We're all going to be watching.
Maybe not a big bang, but some fireworks.
All right. Well, I'll be watching, and we'll talk about it Friday, of course, with Bill and Joe on the big show on Friday at 9. All right. It's 9:42 right here in WTMJ. Political Power Hour.
With an ever-changing inventory, you never know what great bargains you're going to be able to find at St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores. It makes shopping fun because the best finds are the ones you had no idea you'd even come across. And when they're at thrift store prices, feels good. And it feels even better to know you're helping us help others. Shop St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores on Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield, 23rd in Lincoln, and 76th and Bradley Road in Milwaukee.
You're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul.
Hey, it's WTMJ Steve Scaffidi for Evan. I've told you about the snoring and the tossing and turning. Not anymore for me, and that can be the same case for you as well. If you're having poor sleep, tossing and turning nights, tired, grouchy mornings in the morning, you got to go to work, don't wait. Go to Advent right now. Go to one of their great facilities. Quick 30-minute visit. You can ask all the questions you want. They will answer those questions. Now, everybody's different problems, different solutions. They put me at ease on my first visit. We did a really simple sleep study at home in my own bed. They determined my problem was my sinuses and nasal passages in my breathing triangle. After a short procedure at one of their offices, back to breathing better than ever, sleeping through the whole night. Awesome, awesome sleep. That could be you. If you struggle like I did, take the time to see how Advent can help you. To find out how breathing well and sleeping well can make your nights better, go to AdventKnows.com. Schedule an appointment today. Don't wait. Why be miserable? Advent knows. When you breathe well, you live better.
Fleet Farm's got everything you need for everyday life. Brands from Carhartt to Milwaukee to Purina to Goodyear to Rapala to Levi's and a whole lot more. In-store or online, check out all the brands Fleet Farm carries to help make your everyday life better.
Vince Vitrano for Absolute Comfort, HVAC and Electrical, joined by Nicole, who along with her husband Brent owns the company. Nicole, why is now a good time to have you out looking at my air conditioner?
Because we want you to get to know us before you have an HVAC or electrical emergency. We will provide maintenance to your AC system so it's ready to operate efficiently on those warm spring days and hot summer nights.
And they are coming. Absolute Comfort, HVAC and Electrical, 262-664-9284, yourcomfortguys.com.
Downtown Milwaukee is the place to be for summer fun. On Saturday, catch the thrills of the Milwaukee River Challenge as collegiate and club teams take on the Menominee and Milwaukee Rivers. Then, make plans to check out Doors Open, September 23rd and 24th, as more than 100 venues open their spaces for public exploration. So come on down. Experience downtown in every sense. Go to MilwaukeeDowntown.com.
Hey, WTMJ's John Mercure here. Guthrie and Fry protects the water in my house. Guthrie and Fry has provided expert advice, quality service, and reliable water since 1974. Owners Sue and Rob are well known and very generous in the local community for supporting great causes that change lives. We've got their water softener. We've got their reverse osmosis system. Our water is crisp, clean, and clear. GFwater.com. It's Guthrie and Fry.
Better water makes a big difference. Guthrie and Fry.
Talking with Dan Schaefer from the Recombobulation Area. Dan, how do folks find your great writing on politics?
You can find it at therecombobulationarea.news. You can subscribe to the Recombobulation Area on Substack, and you can find me on Twitter at Dan R. Schaefer.
And he's a great follow if you're on the Twitter as I am, although it's irritating the heck out of me. And stop direct messaging me all these messages. I had like 500 in one day the other day.
That's too many.
From, all trolls, anonymous bots or whatever. It's like, stop doing that. And I'll take it off if I have to.
Just like Elon said, he got rid of the bots, right?
Elon didn't fix anything. He may be a billionaire, but he can still be a bonehead. All right. That's my editorial comment for the day. Here's the reality. Since 2020, 150 of the 202 constitutional amendments to the states have been approved to the states. The word is escaping.
State Constitution.
State Constitution.
Yeah.
That's a word I should remember. Including 11 of 12 since 2000 and all 5 since 2020. Some of the big ones, banning private money from elections, funding elections. And certainly another one for allowing judges to consider past convictions for violent crimes when setting bail. That was certainly a law and order one. All right, we have 3. Is that the right number? 3 in August?
2.
Coming up on our August ballot, which by itself is unusual, Dan Schaefer.
That's right. So for the first time in Wisconsin's history, there will be a question, a referendum question on amending the state constitution that will be on the August partisan primary ballot. Now, this is pretty bizarre to have a constitutional amendment come up at this time. Obviously, we saw the earlier one in the spring nonpartisan election in April. We've seen those, within the usual election cycle many different times. This is a first to have it in August. And I think that is really significant because, in some other years, we might have a high turnout primary that might go along with some sort of statewide election, be it for governor, be it for Senate, whatever it might be. This year, we don't really have competitive statewide primaries. Governor, attorney general, all the state officials are not on the ballot this cycle. The race for Senate is not going to have a particularly competitive primary because there are no major candidates other than Eric Hovde running, and Tammy Baldwin does not have a primary challenger. So I think it is expected that this is going to be generally a low turnout statewide election, statewide primary. You have a number of important races in congressional districts, state assembly, state senate, whatever it might be. But as far as the statewide races, these two referendum questions on amending the state constitution are really the only things that will be on the statewide ballot.
This is a question. 2 words. By design, question mark?
Oh, it certainly seems that way. Yeah, and I think, turnout in past elections, in 2022, 27% of voters participated in the August primaries, which was actually a 40-year high. So that was when we had, the Tim Michaels, Rebecca Clayfish primary. You had kind of it was a little bit decided by then, but the Senate primary with Mandela Barnes, Alex Lasry, Sarah Godlewski, a number of those other candidates. So that was on the high side. We're going to have a very small number of voters making this decision on something that is an incredibly important issue, deciding who has control over federal funds coming to the state.
So 2 amendments proposed. 1, delegation of appropriation power shall Section 35(1) of Article 4 of the Constitution be created, provided the legislature may not delegate its sole power to determine how money shall be appropriated. Number 2, allocation of federal monies. I'm not going to read the whole thing. And basically, the legislature will decide, not the governor. They can agree jointly, but not one. Certainly not the governor if you're listening to the Republican in the legislature. Yeah,
this is, just the latest example of what Republicans have done in this era of divided government in the state of Wisconsin, where if they can't get something passed or changed or whatever through the traditional legislative process, they go to these referendum questions.
No, they would argue, and I might argue as well, that the public decides. It's a vote. Now, it's a very small vote.
It's a small vote. It's very confusingly worded questions, and to have these, to amend the state constitution, I think, could create some problems. Let's think back to 2020 when we had the least active full-time legislature in the nation. Well, we had a disaster, and the governor was able to administer federal funds. There were actually a number of studies showing that the governor was, put more funds towards economic development than any other state in the country with those federal funds. This is the governor's in office, the whole state elects. And you know what? Even if it was a Republican governor during that time, that governor should be allowed to govern and should not have the process hijacked by this constitutional amendment that would create more barriers between the governor and governing in a moment of crisis.
Do you think Governor Evers has done a good job with the federal allocation of those dollars, COVID or otherwise?
I think largely yes, and I think there are some specifics that can be questioned, of course, throughout all of that. But I think, by and large, there are a number of studies showing that says Wisconsin has succeeded where other states haven't in doling out this federal funding as well. And I think this was, we already have so much gridlock and partisanship and polarization in our politics. Why would we add another factor to that to continue to muck up the process even more than it already is?
I think it's the term holding on to power is the answer to the question.
Well, I think you're right about that. I think this is, to a certain extent, the last gasp of a gerrymandered Wisconsin legislature. We know that the Senate will most likely not be in play this year. So even if the Democrats do flip the state assembly, the Senate will still more likely than not be in Republican control, and all the way through Governor Evers' term, which ends in 2026, he would be able to have many powers taken away from him, just like as we've seen going back to the very beginning of when he was elected during that lame duck session when Republicans acted to remove his powers almost immediately.
All right, if you don't like it, vote in August. Don't let that go by without at least making your decision known to the folks who make those decisions for all of us. All right, after the break, final thoughts on I-94 East-West. There's an opportunity for public involvement, and I know Dan's been all over this issue since the beginning. Dan Schaefer, my guest. We'll wrap it up with Dan. It is 9:52 right here on the Political Power Hour. You know where you're at, 620 WTMJ.
Throughout history, some people have been born into greatness because of their name or family. Others gained greatness because of their actions. On Wisconsin's Morning News, we celebrate everyday heroes, the John or Jane Doe who had no idea when they woke up one morning they'd be saving a life. Everyday Heroes, Thursday at 6:40 on Wisconsin's Morning News, presented by Azura Memory Care and Assisted Living, transforming the culture of care.
Hey, this is WTMJ Steve Scaffidi for Annex Wealth Management. Inflation is down, but prices are not. There are more than a few hot spots of global unrest. There's a presidential election on the way. What you do now will not only affect this year, but every year through retirement. It's time to put a pro on your side. That pro, Annex Wealth Management, they are a clear choice. An investment retirement plan built by the fee-only fiduciaries. That's important. And Annex Wealth Management makes sense. Knowing where you are and where you can go is important. Today would be a great day to head to annexwealth.com and click on the now famous Get Started button. I did that a couple years ago, never looked back. Plus, Annex isn't going to push commission products on you. Annex makes it convenient. They can handle it all. Retirement investment planning, tax planning, estate planning. I've used them for all of that. One stop, 8 convenient locations, in person, done that. Virtual meetings, also done that. Works great both ways. There is a significant difference between financial advisors. Know that difference. Start at annexwealth.com.
The Brewers Sunday Fun Day Bundle is your new way to brunch this summer. Get tickets, food, beverages, and parking for up to 15 people, starting at $62. Get yours at brewers.com/funday.
This is Brad Youngbooth with Semper Fi Roofing and Exteriors, your local, veteran-owned and operated exterior remodeling company. We have 2 big humps in this business, right before summer and right after fall. And for us, that's when the lines are the longest. Folks usually choose to do their exterior work during those times, and what I'm trying to do here with this message is level out the flow of business so that we don't have to disappoint anyone come November and December because they were hoping to get their work done before the snow flies. I understand where the focus is during summer, but you know what? It really is a great time to get signed up for your exterior work, like siding and windows, because that's when the lines are the shortest, and it's the one time that we're pretty sure we're not going to get any snow. So if you're looking to get your work done, why put it off? The lines are shorter and we'll be ready. For your new roof, siding, window and door installation, or masonry work, call Semper Fi, because you can count on Semper Fi to keep you safe, warm, and dry.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry, Semper Fi.
At Uline, the prevailing opinion is, if you don't live it, you don't believe it. The people at Uline believe in hard work, and they live it by being there 24/7 to answer your call, having 41,000 items in stock, and offering same-day shipping from 12 locations across North America. Business owners, sellers, buyers, shippers, and packers believe it. Uline is the hard-working, dependable source for your shipping and industrial supplies. Visit uline.com.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station.
Final moments with Dan Schaefer. He joins me every Tuesday. How can folks find your great work? The Recombobulation Area?
You can find the Recombobulation Area at therecombobulationarea.news. You can subscribe to get it in your inbox on Substack. You can read that story we were just talking about before the break there on constitutional amendments written by Marquette University political science professor Phil Rocco. I would definitely recommend that one. He knows his stuff, absolutely.
All right, quickly, there's another meeting. thought we were already done with all this stuff. No, I-94 East-West. No?
There's never an end to the public involvement meetings. But yeah, there is one. There are two this week. The Wisconsin Department of Transportation hosting a pair of public involvement meetings today at the Washington Park Senior Center and tomorrow at the Tommy Thompson Youth Center at State Fair Park. So we'll get some of the latest updates on the I-94 East-West corridor. My question for it right now is, why isn't this connected to the Stadium Freeway project?
Oh, here we go.
Why are we talking about these as two separate things and not one larger project? That's my question.
A conversation for another day. Thank you, Dan Schaefer. We'll do it again. The news is next right here on WTMJ.
With crippling inflation, the locally owned Mind Chef restaurant in Hartford has the best Tuesday dining value anywhere. WTMJ's John Mercure here. The all-you-can-eat Mexican buffet is just $9.99. It's all your favorite authentic Mexican food for $9.99. Kids and grandkids 5 and under eat free from the kids' menu.